Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and we have a huge show for you tonight. Uh, Hello, DM Fred. And, I think I saw Billy get in here. Billy Neal and the Conservative Patriot. Welcome to you guys. Glad to have you here. I've got some interesting articles pulled up, and a lot of stuff going on in the news right now. A lot of shady stuff, but that's a fairly common occurrence. Um, I was hoping to have Matthew from Truth Not Fiction Matters as a guest tonight, but he is a very busy man. He works his own channel, and he also is a skipper on a tugboat. So he's pretty much at the beck and call of the shipping company. So it's hard to nail him down, but we're gonna definitely keep working on him. See if we can't get him in the future, because I like Matthew. He's a lot of fun. We had a chance to hang out over in Pensacola uh, when Douglas Ducote came out here to do a little rally. We met up, and so it was kind of cool. Shh, don't interrupt. My co-host is present and accounted for, so he'll be sitting in with me tonight. But anyway, so glad to see you guys here. Sandra, welcome. I want to. You taking the? He's taking over. I want to start out the show by making an announcement that we have something huge coming up next week. We have a 24-hour videoathon, and it will be hosted by Douglas Ducote and American Joe. This is a 24-hour event with dozens of content creators, YouTubers, and actors and activists. So it's going to be really something. It's from the 1st of October, going from 7:30 p.m. to the 2nd of October at 10 p.m. And it's going to be 24 hours of amazing content. This is a fundraiser for trying to coordinate some funds to get this border mission done, the 2,000-mile quest across the entire length of the border with 20 stops, or I think it was 2 stops a day in 20 days. So I've got the information here. If you wanted to go over to Operation Border Command or bordercommand.com, you can sign up so that you'll be ready for the viewing. You can donate money to help with the cause. Pretty much, if you want to help out, it's all there. Now, I'm going to leave this banner up because this is really important. We need to get this truth out. Hey, Pete, Jeff, welcome. Linda's here. Good to see you guys. Anyway, so I wanted to open with that because this is really important. I will be going live from 12:30 a.m. on the 2nd of October, 12:30 to 1 o'clock. So that will be my time slot. We're going to have the DMB report. We got Pete the Patriot. We got Tony Patriot. We've got an incredible group of people that are going to be, another interruption, that are going to be present in this event. So it's just going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, so with that being said, Patty's here. Hey there. I want to get to the articles, and the reason I wanted to open up with Operation Border Command was because one of the first articles that I wanted to talk about was Senate votes for second time to block Trump's border emergency declaration. That's right, folks. They're still trying to stop what they can't stop. But the interesting thing about it is we had a lot of Republicans in favor of stopping the emergency powers declaration that is allowing funding to be moved to the border wall project. And this is why Operation Border Command is so important, because there are as many Republicans that are fighting as there are Democrats, and we've got to expose it. Duke Rawls here. Good to see you. The exposure and light is the best disinfectant to corruption and manipulation. They citing their concerns over the expansion of presidential powers, 11 Republicans joined the Democrats in voting for a resolution to put a stop to the emergency declaration from Trump. The resolution passed in a simple 54-41 vote, but it is not a veto-proof majority. So, of course, it's safe again because the president will veto it, but it is getting ridiculous. Why do they want to stop this from happening? Who is getting the kickbacks? Hey, Fred, who's getting the kickbacks from the drug cartel and the human traffickers? I want to know this stuff, and I'm not going to withhold this because in some of my videos in the past, it's been made pretty clear how I feel about Republicans and Democrats. The two-party system is designed to manipulate the public more than anything else, and they prove it to me many, many times. And in this case, we've got Republicans Collins, Alexander, Toomey, Romney, Murkowski, Lee, Portman, Blunt, Moran, Paul, and Whitaker that all voted in favor of stopping the Emergency Powers Act, emergency resolution. So we need to pay attention to this kind of stuff. When I say that the Republicans and the Democrats all scoop from the same toilet, they just use different spoons. This is the example I'm giving. Just because it's a two-party system doesn't mean that there are good guys and bad guys. It means that they're all in this stuff together. And we have a few good people that are fighting to keep everything going. They had this hearing today about the whistleblower, and it's amazing how much the Democrats and Republicans are trying to get in the way of what President Trump is doing. So it's got to stop. The voting has to happen. People need to get out and vote. They need to work with the primary candidates that are going against these rhinos and these never Trumpers. It's important to help those primary candidates get that position, and but don't get hung up on parties. Obviously, if you vote a Democrat, that's a real problem because they're proving themselves to be socialist, communist dictators. They think that they can do things without any input from anybody else, and that's a problem. But what I'm saying was, when you do the vote, if some people will say, well, I'm going to vote Republican right down the line. Well, what you need to do is make sure you have the right Republicans in that line. And that's what I mean by saying helping to primary candidates. If, for example, Marco Rubio is not in good favor. This guy is, the Democrats love him because he's easily manipulated. 12B Georgia, welcome, good to see you. But it's necessary when we find out who his primary is, her competitor, the other Republican that's going to be primarying against him, that we help them. But I Bleed American, good to see you. And Turkey Leg TV, oh, that's a turkey leg. Anyway, so the thing to be careful about with this primarying candidates is one thing that the Democrats made perfectly clear a few months ago is that they are going to secretly run candidates as Republicans. They are going to be totally backing Democrat tickets and Democrat talking points, but they're going to be running as Republicans. And this is one of their newest tricks to make sure that they get their power back. So what I'm going to bring up is some of these leaders, once they've been in the Senate or the House, all of a sudden they jump up and say, I'm switching parties. Well, personally, I think that should be illegal. I think that if you want to switch parties, you should have to relinquish your chair and rerun as the candidate of the other party. But this is the thing that they're going to try to pull. The Democrats are going to try to pull this thing. They're going to run the Republican candidates, and as soon as they get in office, they're going to change party. So pay attention to who is in the primaries in your area. Listen to what they have to say. Don't just say, oh, well, I'm going to vote the Republican. Make sure you have the right Republican in there. It's just that simple. Let's see. The Republican senators who voted for the Democratic resolution were Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, Roy Blunt of Missouri, Susan Collins of Maine, Mike Lee of Utah, Jerry Moran of Kansas, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. She's a waste. She's got to go. Rand Paul of Kentucky. I don't trust Rand Paul. Um, he votes against a lot of things that are designed to help the country, and that bothers me. Rob Portman of Ohio, Mitt Romney of Utah, Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania, and Roger Whittaker of Mississippi. So pay attention to those names. And if they're not going to help to improve the well being of this country and protect its citizens, then it is up to us to find out who their primary is, who their competitor is going to be in the primary, and it's up to us to help them get successful and become the candidate. So it's very frustrating. And like I said, I opened the show with this subject because this Operation Border Command is very important. I can't get out there and do that walking and the stuff. I have too many limitations, but I'm going to do everything I can from my throne right here behind my screen, as I want to promote this thing. I want to get them a very successful mission, and I want to do everything I can to help get the truth out, because it is that important. But anyhow, so that's the border issues. And as you guys know, there was another hearing today, a little bit of a sham. And it was in relation to this whistleblower, which I actually just found out 5 minutes before we went live that it turns out this whistleblower is a Ukrainian CIA agent. So I'm going to be looking into that a little more, but I just got the blurb right before I went up, so I couldn't really spend a lot of time looking into it. But that is the news, and I will, well, you guys will for that too, because that sort of changes the whole thing. But also the attorney for the whistleblower turns out to be a Biden donor. Gave money to uh, China Joe. Oh, where's Nick? Can't say China Joe without hearing ding, 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 ding. Anyway, so the whole circle jerk is going on. Everybody's related to everybody. The system is designed to make sure that all of the criminals circulate around one another and make sure that they protect each other, and the same names pop up in every criminal act. It's just amazing. Okay, let me see. No alcohol for me, just coffee. Yes. Cheers, DM. All right. So the acting director of the National Intelligence Agency, Joseph McGuire, intense testimony Thursday on Capitol Hill defending his handling of the explosive whistleblower complaint, alleging President Trump pressured the Ukrainian president to investigate Biden and family. And all right, that's going down. But I don't want any. I gave at the office. I'm too broke to donate, so thank you for calling. But anyway, the whole, I watched most of the hearing. I actually didn't catch the open, but from what I understand, Adam Schiff, or Shifty Schiff, or the other word, apparently went on and installed things in the whistleblower report and in the transcripts that were not there. So he told absolute fabrications right there in his seat in the oversight judicial committee. So it's insane what they'll go through. And yeah, know that feeling. Yeah, me too. But anyway, so I watched most of this thing, and most of it was people trying to dishonor this man and degrade him and basically call him a criminal. Most of them on the Democrat side. Uh, I noticed about halfway through or so, almost no Republicans were left in the room, and I'm a little concerned with that. Hey, CLC, good to see you. I'm a little concerned with that because it's in a way it kind of feels like the Democrat or the Republicans are saying, well, we just don't have any say in the matter, so we're just not even going to participate in these hearings. So that's sort of like giving up. Yeah, the Democrats are going to do whatever they want. We can't do anything, so we're out of here. Uh, so now we just believe whistleblower, just like the Kavanaugh accuser. We just believe them all. Yeah, it's there doesn't have to be evidence, and Nancy Pelosi proved that. She was confronted about the desire to go forward with an impeachment inquiry. The inquiry is not an impeachment hearing. That's what they keep using. We're in this impeachment hearing. No, they're not. They're in an impeachment inquiry. They can't go to a hearing without an entire vote and full support in the House. So these are inquiries. They're a waste of money, and they're an opportunity for the Democrat leaders to slander anybody that works for President Trump. And this man, the acting DNI, he's got a history. He was a SEAL Team commander, and he was a leader of SEAL Team 2. 33 years in the military, I think. 31 of those in the SEAL teams. So you're trying to, Schiff is over here, and all of his Democrat idiots are over here trying to talk about, well, you kind of broke the law, and we don't trust what you have to say, and all this other. It's astonishing. If you are, the amount of discipline it takes and the straight shooting, you got to be a clean, good person if you're going to be a team leader for the SEALs. So they're trying to destroy the people that work for President Trump, and it's got to stop. There's somebody needs to stand up to these people, and I don't see it. Yeah, the Jeff Rideau says the whole thing basically breaks and boils down to you are guilty until proven innocent. Yeah, the entire justice system has been put over on its head. Same thing with the red flag laws and all of that. Everything right now is being turned into you are guilty until we can find an innocent point in your life. It's a little bit ridiculous. I'm wondering where our Justice Department has gone and when all of a sudden it changed. Hey, Matthew, you are here. Let me get over here and throw you something in the chat if I can see it. I got my camera in the way. Okay, let me get this. Drop that right there. Let's copy. All right. All right. All right, Matthew, grab that link right there and come on in here. This is great. I'm glad you got to show up. If you got Firefox or Chrome on your phone or your computer, if you hit that link, you'll be right in the thing. You just put your title under the first screen when it says, who are you? And then you'll say enter broadcast studio and you drop right in there. And Matthew, Truth Not Fiction Matters, one of the highlights. I like your shows. I like watching him. I like listening to what he has to say. So anyway, let log on my okay. I will let me grab a little more of this article right here, and then I'll check right back on the next screen. I cover the screen when I pull the articles up, so it's a little bit. Just takes me a minute. Yeah, anyway. So we're talking about this whistleblower that turns out to be a Ukrainian CIA agent, and first off, the one question I have is, I thought we created the CIA in this country, and I mean it was created to essentially legalize capital criminal activity by you know by elected officials. Um, there's a dark past with the CIA, and every time you hear something shady going on, it's always CIA. I think it's probably time to disband the CIA. Um, if you talk badly about the CIA, you get wet worked, So if I go poof, then it wasn't me. Um, but I'm not intimidated by them. I don't care. They can do whatever they want. They are a criminal empire of the upteenth degree. Um, yeah, whistleblower is more like a flute blower. Yeah, he blows. But yeah, it's this whole thing was choreographed by the Democrats because the walls are closing in on them, and things are looking bad for them. So you know, it's pretty shady stuff. Hold on one second here while I'm waiting on Matthew. I want to get this set up. And I haven't gone anywhere. All right. So, just waiting for a minute, see if he can get in here. I'm going to wait and see about him before I open another article. They just investigate him till they find out Trump cheated on a math quiz in the 5th grade. You heard about that too? Yeah, I can hear Pelosi now too. This is just the disgrace to our nation, and don't forget, a threat to our national security. Yeah, that 5th grade math test, that was some bad news. It was disgraceful. But they need to leave our beautiful POTUS alone. Yeah, I agree. Um, it really bothers me how much collaboration there is between the Democrats and the Republicans on issues that put real serious sticks in the spokes of progress. Um, CIA legalized criminality. You are absolutely right. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, or a don't, let me introduce
great math test. That was some bad news.
From Truth Not Fiction Matters. I think you got to put your earbuds in and mute your mic.
Hey, brother, how are you?
Good to see you, man. How are you doing?
Let me put the mic on here. Bear with me.
Hey,
been a
take your
crazy
time.
day, my brother.
Yeah, I can imagine. I gave you that excuse when I first started the show, so you're covered. I figure you're one of those people that's so busy when you turn a corner too quick, you run right over yourself. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? 1, 2, 3.
All right, I'm
check
here.
the mic.
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay.
Now I'm trying to get my ducks in a row, man. It's been a crazy week.
Yeah, I got all my ducks in a row and somebody shot them. Well, hey, man, take just a couple minutes up here at the top of the show and let's hear a little bit about yourself. Tell everybody about your
well,
show.
I've been on YouTube. I haven't ever used this StreamYard. Can I play the audio? Or probably can't because it'll bleed into your show there.
About the only way to do it is you could put, if you wanted to post something in a screen share into the chat, you could do that, but I would have to bring it up and drop it down. You would actually have control of the audio on it. What you got?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do the best I can. I've got my phone there, but what you were talking about. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, you're
I
fine,
got
man.
your
I'm just so
emails.
glad you're here. Appreciate it.
I'm glad you have started your own YouTube. With there needs to be more patriots like yourself, veterans like myself, having a voice, standing up, uh, standing tall, fighting. As I tell everyone every time I do a video, um, just been real busy, you know, with work and some side projects. Understand you're going to be on the Operation Border Command, which is good. But I can
Yes,
tell you the
sir. And
shenanigans that we're seeing right now with the inquiry slash impeachment. We also saw Representative Gatz being just staunchly ignored. I was going to do a
oh
little
yeah,
video about that later on. It's
yeah.
just
There's a lot of that.
pure tyranny by the
Yeah.
Democrats right now, folks, and it boils down to what I talked about in the last couple of videos that I put out, and I think I got a pretty good idea uh, who the leak could be possibly or tied into the leaker. One of them is Miss Madeline. I was told earlier this morning to dig into her. You know, the presser or whatever in the White House, assistant to the president, that was just booted out of the White House 30 August 2019. Now, I could be dead wrong, but if you go back and you correlate and you do the digging like I've done, the little bit of time I've had allotted to do it, the dates match up. So I'm wondering if
Yeah.
this Miss Madeline, who was kicked out of the White House by the president for leaking already to the press, it's kind of interesting. And
Well,
as
did
a
you hear the news? I mean,
TNFL
it
Patriot
broke.
commented on one of my last videos. Of course, you know, it's funny because you'll laugh at this. I had my display up and they blacked my screen out as I was showing some PDF uh, documents, laying it all out. You know who
Oh yeah.
blacked it out earlier today. Only thing I was able to show was a couple of video excerpts of the hearing of the clown
Right.
show,
I
and
saw that
also
video.
one of the articles from the Hive on this individual, Miss Madeline. What do you think about that, brother? You think I'm over the target, maybe?
Well, I was wondering if you heard 5 minutes before I went live tonight. I saw a report pop up that the whistleblower turns out to possibly be a Ukrainian CIA agent. Oh, also the attorney for that whistleblower was a donor to
Yeah,
Joe
I've heard
Biden.
that as well. Um, I
One
tell
real
you,
quick, I wanted to say to Sandra Ann McGibbon.
I
She
think we're going
says
to
not
find
just
out.
vets.
I'm sorry, it's
Oh,
kind of a delay. I'm trying to
yeah,
listen
I know
to you
there's a
and also
delay.
not cut you off, but I'm all new to this new system
Yeah.
here. Uh,
Well, she was saying it's not just vets that
I've been
are
hearing that as
YouTube
well.
podcasts.
Patriot News is doing some digging right now as we
I'm,
speak. I think you're going to
uh,
see, you know, God knows what this is going to uncover. You know, and if you notice, they're trying to, I'll get back to your question, but if you notice, they're trying to link this Ukrainian deal right and wrap it right back into the Russian delusion collusion. I think what you're going to find is the same
yeah,
provocateurs, State Department, CIA, and other agencies that were working with the Clintons and
yeah.
all the other folks. And I tell you what, I'm surprised I hadn't heard it, but they're already talking about it in the inner circles of the folks that I've been talking with, the researchers. I think you're going to find out and hear Brennan's name pretty soon.
Yeah, I get the feeling that's going to come to the surface. They're just, it's everything's kind of circling and swirling the drain, and it's the revolutions are getting tighter and tighter. But
Right. But I've heard that too, that it was a close uh, individual with the CIA, and also I've also heard possibility of the State Department officials, the same ones that were trying to fundamentally change some of the election results before. This is
right,
all to cover up, the deals that Biden was involved with his son, Hunter Biden. I
oh, they
played
were
the
on a
video
shopping
as
spree.
well. Headlines with a Voice, several others, as far as YouTube channels, have pointed that out. I mean, he's
Right.
literally sitting there bragging about getting that prosecutor removed, him and President Obama, right on
Yeah.
stage during that conference. If you
Yeah. And the
just imagine
Democrats
that, but yet
refuse
we're
to
supposed to
acknowledge it.
sit here
They absolutely
and listen
refuse.
to
Yeah.
the embellishment by the left. There's nothing even close in that unclassified transcript of that phone call anywhere close, folks, to what they're claiming. And you actually see Mr. Shifty, basically
Right.
claiming that he was doing parodies, embellishing it right there
Yeah. Adding
in,
to it.
in the
Yeah.
chairmanship on an
Right.
open mic.
Just putting stuff in there
I mean,
that is not
you can't make
even
this
in it.
stuff up, brother. I mean, it's just going to get crazier and crazier. And I hear your frustration. I've got frustration as well, but I support the president 110%. But I got to say this: the president has to do more to stop these shenanigans. We're going to have to
I
start seeing
believe so too.
the
Yeah.
DOJ. We're going to have to start seeing these arrests, because if we don't,
Yeah. I
I
know time
think
is
he's
short.
going to win 2020. But I think now the writing's on the wall. That's the reasoning we're seeing this. They know they can't win. So now they're
Right.
going to try to do anything they can to muddy the waters and try to remove the president before the 2020 election is kind of where my thinking has. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think I'm right on the same page with you. The concern I have is that the aggression in and the chatter is becoming more violent. You've got people being interviewed that are saying, "Well, he's committed treason. It's a death penalty for that." So they've got it in their heads already that he's created treason, and there is a crime for treason, a punishment for treason, and they're talking about it openly and boldly. So it's almost like this is what we're going to do. We're telling you now. This, and get it out in the public, make them realize, yep, he's treasonous, and you have to eliminate treasonous people. So yeah, I think it's getting downright dangerous, and I also see more aggression from the protests with our least favorite communists, the Antifa. So they are becoming more emboldened. The problem is everybody is becoming more emboldened because nobody is being stopped. No, just like Adam Schiff. You take that example. He added things to this declassified document. He added things to it that weren't there, and
Yeah.
not a single Republican stood up and said, "I demand that be retracted." I mean, it's
Well, they
what are you going to do?
there was a few, like I mentioned earlier. Representative Gatz stood up
Moderated
and tried to
conservative. Good to see you.
make a couple of requests,
I saw
statements,
Belinda too. Good to see
points
you.
earlier today. Man, I've never seen anything like this in this country's history.
No. Well, the crimes
He
are
was
being
constantly
exposed, so
ignored.
they're
His mic
getting more
was cut
creative.
off when he was
Yeah.
trying to have a voice or have a piece of time yielded to him. Nadler, or whatever his name is, Nader, uh, Dark Vader is what I call him, but he would just not at all recognize Representative Gatz. And
Right.
I agree with the other gentleman that spoke before he was trying to interject, is they've had plenty of opportunity to get other witnesses, including Mr. William Barr, to come in and speak. They don't want him to come in and speak. I didn't know what
No.
to think about that at first, but then I started looking at some of the information while updating the site earlier today, in and out of phone calls and meetings today. But it's almost like a repeat of the Mueller investigation all over again, brother. And
Right.
I don't know what your thoughts are. I'd be curious because, you've got a lot more experience in looking at stuff, probably a little bit more wiser than I. I've gotten a lot better here in the last 2.5 years since Trump's got elected. I really didn't get into politics too much until the 2015, from the time Donald J. Trump announced he was running to where we are now, meeting all the great patriots such as yourself when we collectively went and met with Douglas Ducote and so many others, even some QAnon fans, as I mentioned. Now, I'm not a Q guy. I've kind of stuck to geopolitical items. To be quite honest, I think I'm kind of glad I did. But, that's what I asked the Patriot News community the other night. I'm not against anyone that follows Q, but you have to question, where's
We question
now?
everything.
Why aren't they hosting now?
Yeah.
Why aren't we
Well,
seeing
part of that is because the
arrest,
8chan board is down.
high-profile arrest? Why are we not seeing any more information coming out about the death of Jeffrey Epstein? And I got to tell you, that's the biggest story of the year, folks.
Yeah.
Uranium One is one of the biggest stories of our history. We are not garnering still the answers from Benghazi, which highly upsets me. All the way.
Yeah, that one just boils me.
To other events. I don't want to get too detailed because, as you know, the you know who will take your channel out if you start talking about some of this stuff. Like my friend
Right.
Cody Snodgrass, who wrote a book about the mural building event and onward, folks.
Yeah.
And you probably, sir, remember Ruby Ridge.
Yes.
It's actually surprising how many folks nowadays aren't even aware of the event and happenings at Ruby Ridge.
Right.
What
Yeah,
happened?
they managed to get stuff swept under the rug pretty good
for years. And
Yeah.
I still believe it, but I'm starting to get concerned, as you are and so many other patriots out here. It's so important that folks that are listening now, for which will listen down the road, to your channel, to my channel, Douglas Ducote, American Joe, on and on, to pay attention,
Yep.
be alert. Don't believe anything that any of us on here say on the different platforms. Do your own research. Do your own vetting. Do your own digging.
Right.
The point I'm trying to make is, folks, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't band and stand up and fight right now while Donald J. Trump's in office, we may not ever get another opportunity for a very long time. And by the time that happens, we may not have a country to save. What's your thoughts on that, brother? Am I off the mark, or am I pretty close? I mean, because that's kind of what my thoughts in the last few days have been.
I think you're pretty well on the mark.
Videos because I've done more research and I've been doing some real hard thinking, where do we go if
Well,
we don't take this
uh,
country back
well, I
during
think
the
that answer is going
administration
to
of
be pretty
Donald J. Trump?
obvious.
What if they are successful, which I don't think they will be? My fear is if they're not successful, listen, they've been trying to impeach Trump, folks, before he even swore in during the inauguration.
Right.
Like that gentleman from Mr. Green, uh,
Yeah.
you know, Maxine Waters,
Yeah.
and
There's
so
a
many
bunch of
others.
wastes in there.
This is not
Yeah.
something
One
that
thing
just started
I
six
want to
months
bring up
ago,
something though, real
a year
quick
ago.
about the
This has been going
couple of
on
things going on in
since
the
day
chat.
one that Trump was
Are
inaugurated.
you hearing me in a major delay?
Why? Because he stands for, I still believe, the people. The people
I don't know.
had a voice
I don't know
in
if you're hearing me
2016.
very.
They were blown
I don't
away
know if
by
you're
it.
able to pick up my voice.
Now, President Trump keeps mentioning that he had a better ground game. Yes, he did. He also had more
A better
Americans
message.
than what they thought that came out to the voting booths in
Yeah.
2016. And that's what I want to emphasize, not to take over my brother's channel, because I had quite a bit to say, and I think it needs to be said. Folks, as others, and my brother, we all have questions right now, but you cannot waive your support to this president.
Yeah. You're right,
It
Pete.
is imperative that we get out and we vote in 2020. That's why I started the hashtag Paul Revere's the 2020 No Fear Patriots. Get out,
Yeah, I saw that. That's
take a
pretty
stand,
good.
get out there and vote. Keep fighting. We have to hold the line like no other, because if we don't, we might not have a country to hold a line in. Come on in here, brother.
Right. Yeah. Are you able to hear me? Because I notice when I'm talking, I don't know if you're able to pick up my audio. Are you hearing me?
No, I'll be honest with you.
Well, there goes the screen again. But
Yes, I am now. I
let's
am now.
see. Sandra, I didn't see your message about the not just veterans on the YouTube, and I agree with that. It's
Lost you on the screen there, partner. Lost you on the screen there, partner.
on. It's just a computer thing. My satellite doesn't like me. It's just ridiculous. I don't have any clouds or anything. I'm on now, and I see you again. I wanted to take a minute to bring up some of the statements that were made in the chat. Um, Belinda is my partner in crime on this channel. She and I co-host a couple of shows during the week, and she made a couple of comments, and they're so far up there. Yeah, one thing about California Critic, he said, don't forget about Waco, Texas. That was another fiasco. That's another example of our justice system being way out of hand. Um, but yeah, let's see. Belinda says it's like they held this stuff back as a backup in case Russia failed, and that's a really good statement because that's exactly what they did. They've got everything lined up in the queue And as soon as one thing drops, if they lose it, it's like clockwork. Another one shuffles right into their desk so that they can carry on the next one. So it's truly amazing what they get away with. But I made a point at the beginning here. I'm always saying that the Democrats and Republicans scooped from the same toilet. They just use separate spoons. And the example of that was this vote that was done to stop the Emergency Powers Act towards the southern border. I mean, there's a bunch of Republicans that jumped right in there and said, yep, we need to stop this Emergency Powers Act. So who's on our team? That's the big question. And how do we get more people on our team and get these never Trumpers and never country people out of the way so that we can continue to move forward and correct the wrongs that have been implemented over the years? And that's my question. That's what I have. See, Duke Roll has more common sense in his pinky than Big Losi. Yes,
Okay. Well,
that's true.
well, first of all, brother, if I talked over you, I didn't mean to. I'm still
No,
getting
no,
used
no.
to
It's not a
this
problem. It's just
new
I
deal
know
here.
there's
I
a
know several
vicious
channels are
delay.
using it, but no, those are very good questions. And no, I won't forget about Waco. We actually discussed Waco and how it coincided with all the other events. It's,
Yeah,
it's funny that that's a good comment because Timothy McVeigh was actually at Waco,
right.
and it led into the event in Oklahoma. Cody Snodgrass writes about it in his book. But to touch on what you just said,
Hey, Florida Jim.
the swamp is deep, my brother.
Oh yeah,
And they were also touching on that as well in the White House staff also being a problem. And I think that's what we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see the president to maybe do some more vetting even on the Republican side, because make no mistake about it, and I think we're going to see some of this information when Douglas Ducote, American Joe, and all the other team members go down to the border for
yep,
that 20-day journey. That version, the long version, he went down there for 2 or 3 days before and talked
right.
to some very influential folks on the border. I've done some research on the border. Example, Fast and Furious. We actually had a whistleblower with America First Media Group that uncovered not just 100, but thousands of weapons.
Right.
And I'm talking shoulder fired weapons, folks.
Yeah.
Buried in New Mexico, Arizona. About all I could say
Heavy
there.
tacticals, rocket
But
launchers, all that stuff.
to answer your question, short of the long is we have a heck of a fight ahead of us. And that swamp is deep. And both
Yeah.
sides of the aisle, certain members are actually on the same side. And that side would
Right.
be the mall.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. But let me see. I got other articles that I did pull up that I wanted to maybe throw two of them at you before we run out of time, which we got 11 minutes. Um, I already mentioned that the lawyer for the whistleblower, was a donor to Joe Biden's campaign. That one, I've already talked about it, so I'm just dropping that one. Uh, an interesting concept here. The only time I'll probably ever agree with anything that is said by an Iranian leader. It says Iran's Rouhani backs moving UN out of New York to a better country. I couldn't agree with the man more. I think the UN needs to get the hell out of this country. What do you think? Boy, there is really a long
Uh,
delay here.
Man, we're going to have some more time, brother. No, I'm just kidding. I've been saying that since day one. The UN, everything it touches, doesn't ever end well. The UN's
Kick
track
them out.
record,
That's right, Belinda.
and I'm talking from the recent wars, from the missiles being smuggled through the areas of Egypt and Libya,
Right.
leading to Benghazi. We find out to
Yemen.
the finding of the shoulder-fired Stinger missile that was found in Afghanistan that was supposed to have ended up in Syria. Now we're seeing the push by the UN to what? Yeah, you guessed it, folks, to open the borders up worldwide. So absolutely. I guess the short answer is I could not agree with you more, my friend. We need to get the UN the hell out of this country like yesterday.
Oh, I just got a message here, and it says ex-DIA officer gets 10 years in prison for spying for China. The national security ex-DIA officer gets 10 years in prison for spying for China. Well, that's a good step in the right direction. But yeah, the one thing about the UN, some people don't realize it, but they are exempt from lawsuits, and there's a push right now to get that stopped, because UN peacekeepers are going into countries and they're killing off populations, but not because they're shooting them. These people are sending people with disease into communities where nobody is vaccinated against it. And there's been entire villages killed off by UN peacekeepers because they were exposed to cholera and all kinds of stuff. So the UN, like you said, every time they touch something, it gets totally destroyed. It needs to be disbanded. It was designed for a new world order globalist system to coordinate the financial district, the religious district, and the military district. So we don't need them anymore. They can be excused and carry on. So I think that would be the one time I agree with Iran. Get them out. As a matter of fact, send them to Iran. They can have them. They're just about as crooked anyway, so they can deal with them there. Diplomatic immunity, right? Yeah, Rex Havoc's U.S. Navy said that they have their diplomatic immunity. They get away with anything they want. And I think they need to get off of American soil, because we have a thing called a Constitution. And even though they're walking on it, it's still there. We got about 5 minutes left. I want to give you about three of those minutes to tell everybody what you got, and then we're going to have to end this and say goodnight to everybody. Hey, Dangerous Freedom. Good to see you, brother.
Okay, buddy. Well, I'll try not to even take that long. I'll probably talk more than I should have. Listen, first of all,
I've enjoyed it immensely.
Brother, it was a pleasure meeting you in Florida, and I continue to support you to this day. I'm going to continue to support your channel and help it grow. We need more folks like yourself to come out and have a voice.
Thank you.
I'm going to try to get you on my channel here pretty soon, my friend. Appreciate you having me on.
Oh, there goes the glitch. Imagine I can possibly be heard still, because my screen is still up here, but it's showing that he dropped out of my screen. But Matthew, I just wanted to take a minute to thank you immensely. It's been a pleasure having you on my show. I really enjoyed it. Don't even think for a second that you talk too much, because that's what I wanted. I wanted to really hear what you had to say. I've enjoyed you guys hanging out with us, all my guests hanging out for the hour of your lives, and my mods. You guys rock. there's a lot of information. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of stuff in the dark. We all need to be paying attention. And if you guys find articles and you can get them to me on my email, and send them to me, because I have no fear. I'll get these things out, and I'm not going to be intimidated into silence. So with that being said, I will bid you all a good evening, and until next time, y'all stay in the fight.